Hello and welcome to Talking with Famous People. I'm host Eric. I'm here with host Zachary. We've got two hosts and no famous people today. But we do have a famous person, and the famous person is the troll question. We're talking about the troll question and the way people answer it and what the best answer is and stuff like that. So Zachary had just brought up the split 'em across the bank of the river solution. Uh, which you want to explain that again, Zachary?
Well, it's he takes 10% of the food tax or the food that goes across. So if you um, have multiple boats, spread the food across multiple boats, and when you go across, 10% of each will be overall less than 10% of the whole. So you
But
will
but
have
that
enough food.
but that's only assuming he can't get to all the boats, right? So they have to test it in some way first. So let's backtrack here to the beginning. What are we talking about? We're talking about the troll question, which basically establishes certain things in the beginning, right? It establishes a lot of of existent facts in the world of the troll before you begin. It says you're like the mayor of this village. It says the village is split in two by a river. That the food's all on one side, the population is on both sides. It says that there's a bridge, and it assumes, it never states directly, that if you have the bridge, somehow the troll can't get to you, right? That's one of the assumptions in it, but it's never actually stated directly. Um, and then you're told that the bridge is washed out. You're not explicitly told you have boats, but it's implied that you can get across the river because it says every time you try to cross the river, this troll takes 10% of your food. And the question states that this taking of 10% is a tax. It's not a theft. It's not a highwayman, as they used to call them, the people who stay on the highways to rob travelers. It's not a highwayman issue. It's a tax, but it's by a troll, which is odd. Why would a troll have claimed to make a tax? So some people do question this issue of where the claim to the tax comes from, and the way the question is set up, I think, allows the questioner to answer that in a variety of different ways. You're also told that if, in its current incarnation, anyway, as it's developed a little bit, you're told that it snows there, but the river never freezes, and that it's a sort of a raging torrent throughout the winter that precludes you from rebuilding the bridge until spring. And you're also told that it's the olden days with horses and swords and stuff. There's not internal combustion engines and gunpowder.
Um, I want to go back though. The when you said that you're assuming that, or I'm assuming that you can't reach all the boats. Even if you did reach all the boats, it would still be fine. So because like if you had,
No, it wouldn't.
it's going to be less. It
It's
wouldn't.
still 10% no matter what. It doesn't matter if it's a bunch of little 10% or one big 10%. It's still 10%. You can't avoid the
Oh, so
10%.
it's going to be the same amount then.
The key to that solution working is a test to see the limit of the troll's powers. And then what you do is, in the ideal solution of that, you say, okay, we've discovered that the troll can only get 50 of us if we all cross concurrently. He can only get 50 of us. He's not as fast as the speed of light. So what we want to do then is we want to put 50 people from the troll outward, 25 in each direction, with one crumb each of food. And then, in case we miscalculate a little bit, have the next people with smaller amounts of food as well. And as you get further out, you have the people have large amounts of food, because the troll's definitely not going to get them. And then you move everybody across concurrently. And that way, the troll gets 10% of almost nothing, and you get 100% of almost everything across.
Who was the which of the kids offered the solution of going out in the woods and hunting? Like before we established the winter thing? Was it Edmund?
Yeah, I think Edmund suggested that. And the thing is, you can hunt for some of your food, but in a very early incarnation of this, I said, well, if you do that, you basically destroy the game ecosystem in your part of the world of the earth, so that historically your community has relied on being able to hunt a little bit, and you have sensible restrictions on hunting and fishing. And if you choose to I didn't say anything about fishing though. I just said on hunting. And if you choose to do that, then you'll destroy your ability to hunt in the future. Is what I've said when somebody brought that up early on. What's weird is nobody says let's go fishing in this river. Almost
That's
nobody
true.
says it.
I guess everyone just assumes the troll has them, like he devours most of the fish. But I think we should mention some of the solutions that also we kind of neglected to do that. So most people decide on killing the troll. Most people want some sort of militant of villagers, and they go and they excise the troll by stabbing him to death with pitchforks or something akin to that.
Right.
Um,
But I want to note that I think it would be a great T-shirt at TWFP. And it just says "Kill the Troll," like a picture of a troll with like a stabbing thing in it, falling over
that
or
would be
whatever.
good. That would be a great T-shirt, man. That would be a fucking great T-shirt. I might work on a design for that actually, but
Yeah,
that would be fucking
all
great.
it's gotta have is a picture of a troll like stabbed with something, either dead or falling over or something like that, and it says "Kill the Troll" and then TWFP.
That would be great, man. That would be a fucking great T-shirt. Um, or and the other solution, which I guess is we sort of regard it as the solution. It's the solution that's the most cleanest for sure.
Right.
But it's going across the river and then taking people back. You move the people instead of the food, basically. So you go and get the people, bring them to the food, and then they eat, go home. You can either bring them all across and during like certain meal times, or maybe there's like a daily. I don't know. If I was in a situation, there'd be some sort of scheduling we'd set up. Um, but that's really the only. So kill the troll, move the food, test the troll's limits by expanding out with multiple boats.
Now, testing the troll's limits occurs on multiple vectors. We've also had Mega Bro is one who suggested catapulting it over. We've had that suggestion a couple of times. That how high can the troll jump? Can you catapult the food over? Of course, when we actually start to think about all of these solutions, one thing that comes into consideration for me as I consider it over the course of weeks, for example, is the hassle, right? So ideally, we'd like to have a low hassle solution. We don't want to have this troll impacting our behavior over the long term. And I think that's the one deficit of the move the people solution. So that's the one true solution, as Zach says. It's like the one that feels like it's the solution you're supposed to find to this problem. If you're clever and you come up with the right solution, is that you just move the people, you don't move the food. But when you actually think about the solution, if you have to move the people all season long to go across for mealtime, and that's a pain in the ass. And you've got these boats to move, and even theoretically, you might exert so many more calories with all the moving back and forth that you need more food now. So even if you don't, you still are just sort of working around a problem rather than solving it. In that regard, killing the troll seems like a better solution. But killing the troll now, and this as the stories evolve, so there's a lot of step twos that happen when somebody walks through the question, and they say, "Blah, I already know where it's going to go next." So normally, if let's say Zach's name is Joe Smith, he comes on, he's got one of the action kind of functions dominant, TE or SE or something like that. So he's going to come right on and say, "Kill the troll." Now, okay, so what do, Joe Smith?
I I gather a militant of the most physically capable men in my village. Uh, I, being the monarch, and the only one who has true divine revelation, I have to be in the back. I can't be getting damaged here. So I'll be getting the most physically capable men. They'll be going in front of me. Um, it'll be going in layers, right? So right before me will be the most capable, and then it goes down up until we'll have like some kids, if there's some like degenerate kids or some shit, like if they're just
Make them
annoying,
go
they're being
first.
generally a nuisance to the villagers, they will go first.
Are
Those
you
who
a T
survive,
Edom? Are you T Edom or what?
yeah, those who survive, those kids who survive, so the kids go first, the rowdy little fucking brats, right? And if they survive, then they are instantly promoted to a high position within our military, right? And then they will grow and develop that way. But we will go out. We'll have
Okay, Joe Smith, listen, you got a problem though. You get your band of merry men together there, and you're about to charge on the troll, and what do you find? You find all the wives on the banks of the river, and they're holding up signs. They're protesting you're killing the troll. They say you can't kill the troll, that the troll is an endangered species.
ignore their opinions.
They say we won't let you sleep with us anymore, and like half of your army all of a sudden starts muttering.
Good, because sexual repression actually helps civilizations progress. Actually,
Now
so
three
that's why I
quarters,
present.
now 3/4 of your army is muttering, and they're sharpening their weapons and they're looking at you.
Um,
What's
what are they
going
doing?
on, boss? Says one of the degenerate kids you put in the front. What's going on? We still gonna fight the troll?
Oh yeah, well we're gonna fight the troll. Yeah, so I assume we already did that after ignoring the
No, you didn't
people.
ignore them because before you could, as you were ignoring them, they made it clear to their respective husbands that they were going to take this seriously and that they weren't going to allow their husbands to touch them anymore. And now you've got
This is
3/4 of your
this is
army.
operating under the assumption that my militant men, these masculine like bronze gods, are pussy whipped.
Well, that's the only way they are whipped, right? Nobody else can stand up to these tough guys except for their women.
I see. I see. Um, I still say fuck it. Like we'll be going for the troll. It's
Okay,
way more
you know
important.
what?
My men will
They launch a
understand. I've known
coup.
them for
They launch a
years,
coup and they kill you. The end.
and then they'll starve because they no longer have a leader to step in rightful position.
No, they
They
feed they
will rue the
feed
day.
you,
They
they
will rue
feed
the
your
day that
corpse. They poison your corpse and they feed it to the troll. And then that's how they kill the troll.
hey, if it benefited my society, it would.
Joe Smith is quite an adversarial troll question taker. So, I do tend to dissuade people from their first avenue. If they go right to kill the troll, I want to see what they do with it. In last night's instance, what's his name? Doak, famous person Doak. He went to negotiate with the troll. And the troll was willing to negotiate, but the troll never really gives you a good deal, right? He goes down from like 10% to 9%, and he demands something else that's ridiculous. So, he's not negotiable with because what he's doing in the first place isn't just in any regard. And I think that some people do question, like Doak did, what services does he provide in exchange for this tax? What does that reveal to me? It reveals the extent to which human beings have been trained to begin their understanding of their relationship with the government through this fiction known as the social contract.
That there's like an implicit contract where they agree for the government to take taxes and do
That
services for them.
if somebody provides enough services for you, that justifies them stealing from you. Well, what services do you provide in exchange for this tax? That's not the question, right? By what legitimacy do you claim this is a tax and not simply theft? That's the question, right?
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah,
doesn't.
like
Well, I do this and this for you. Oh, I guess it's okay. I've had this argument. I had somebody negotiate with a troll, right? And we've had this argument back and forth as to whether I provide enough services to justify taking the tax.
like you kill the sharks or something.
Yeah, the
He kills the
sharks.
sharks.
I prevent sharks from coming up from the sea. You don't see any sharks here, do you?
Well, a better response would have been like the troll. his response should be something along the lines of, "Oh, well, I actualize your rights as individuals. Me being here, since I take taxes from you, you're all individuals now, and you all have rights."
Yeah, you become naturalized. You're naturalized. I've naturalized you.
Yeah, yeah.
What do
And
you
then see
mean?
how
Well,
like
you're
how they
citizens. You're
work.
citizens of Trollvania now. And with all the
Uh,
rights and privileges conferred thereby. That's
yeah, it would.
funny.
Yeah, it would be a good way to like see how someone responds in that context, and see if they draw the analogy there. You know.
But, I mean, that's the thing is, I think people in general are a very long distance away from seeing government through a binary lens like that, you know. And there's some good reason to resist it, which is to say, society doesn't treat government that way. We act like government is quacking and floating and has feathers and has an orange bill. And so we tend to say, well, of course it must be a duck. We're acting like it's quacking and floating and has feathers and an orange bill. And I go, but it's actually like a porcupine. See, you see the squills and shit. I know everybody's pretending like it's a duck. I get that. I agree that if you look at other people rather than the thing itself, they're throwing little feeds at it and going, "Ooh, look at the ducky," and shit like that. That's true. Everybody's doing that. I agree. But if you actually look at the thing itself, it's not a duck. It's a fucking porcupine. Yeah, look the other
Is
direction. Look over here.
porcupine the best one though? What would be the most accurate representation? Because I feel like porcupine implies you have to like. That would mean like the closer you get to the government, the more damage you would receive, right?
Or I guess it's more like a some sort of vine that kills a tree. You know, one of those kind of vines
What?
that climb. You know, it's kind of one of those kind of vines that climbs up a tree and covers all of the leaves to get all the sun, and then ends up killing the tree.
That makes sense.
If they had a name for that, that would be a good thing to say. That's what it is. It's a vine that climbs up a tree and steals sunlight and says, "No, I'm holding you up. I am totally holding you up here." And then once it's dead, it is holding it up.
But are there any are there any examples of an anarchist society working though in the past without the vine?
I mean, it's a weird question. It says, "Have we seen a healthy organism uncorrupted by parasites?" No.
I don't think that's an accurate analogy
Why not?
because organisms don't come into being through parasitical infection. It would have to like it would
Neither
have to
neither human lives. They're only negatively impacted by it.
no, but societies do come. So if we're viewing government as an analogical to like a parasitical infection, uh, parasitical infections don't produce living organisms, right? They don't produce like the dog who's affected with a parasite wasn't brought into existence by that parasite, right?
Okay, well, all right, then fine. Let's say it's a vine that covers and does that to trees, but we're talking about the relationship of the vine and the forest, not the vine and an individual tree. And the individual trees are the individual people. I don't like the idea of a society.
I guess that could work.
Because the thing about the society thing is it implies the thing, it begs the question, you know? Government Government makes sense when we think of it as a society. When we think of ourselves as a bunch of individuals um, living primarily unconstrained, except for these assorted absurd constraints that we have to put up with because of this criminal parasite called government, then we we don't think of it like that so much. I don't know. I think it's a framing issue. I don't like to frame things in ways that justify the evil. But who knows? I don't know. It's complicated.
What's up, homie?
Regardless, here's what I think is the best solution to the troll question. I think the best solution is to say, all right, we're going to move the people for a week or two. And we're going to see how the troll does and what he does. Concurrently, we're going to try fishing. And if the troll takes 10% of the fish as we catch them before we get them onto the shore, then in that case, we'll stop fishing. And we'll just move the food. We'll just move the people and not the food for a week or two. We'll see if we start the troll out. Okay? We'll see what kind of impact that has on the troll. If in fact the troll stays there and shows no signs of moving, and it's a hassle to move people back and forth, then we try the fishing thing again and we see how much fish that produces while concurrently coming up with a plan to kill the troll. Now, we're not just going to charge in with a bunch of people and weapons here. First of all, we're going to see what kind of bows and arrows we got, right? And if we got bows and arrows and catapults and other kinds of siege engine-y type stuff like that, then we're going to try to nail him from afar. And we're not going to let him know it's coming either. We'll wait till the middle of the night, figure out where he is, and, boom, all at once, one whistle sound, and then like every archer and every catapult and everything we got all shoots at that one spot at one time. Boom.
It'd be like the movie 300, like the arrows, the dark skies or whatever.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
All right. So we're not gonna lose any people, and I'm gonna spike the question by going, now look, to put in this military plan, first I'm gonna get a couple of dudes who are totally with me, and we're gonna meet in secret. We're not going to let the women know this is going to go down. Okay? So that the only people who know this is going down are people who are in on it. That way we prevent them from protesting. And then they can't, like, after the fact, hold us accountable for something they didn't warn us about in advance. So that wouldn't be fair. So they're not going to try to pull that, I'm confident. If they do, they're going to lose that argument. So that's what I would do. And then if, in fact, the troll goes away without us having to kill him, great. If the troll doesn't, I say, well, look, keep going across with some food. I want to spend a week of him stealing us our food before we launch the attack. Then I'll be like, well, he had a chance to redeem himself. I'm not going to give him warning because then he's just going to evade our attack. But he stole from us for a week straight before we took this action. I want to feel as morally justified as possible. And then you eliminate the troll. I think that's the best solution because you don't want a solution that has you adjusting to the troll's presence for a whole winter.
Yeah, that's true. It feels so clean though. It feels so right.
What, move people across?
Well, see, I assume that once you start moving the people, then you realize that the troll was really just an unconscious manifestation of all the villagers' darkest fears that they wouldn't be able to eat. And then once you find a way they can eat, then it kind of just goes away. It no longer is projected,
I think what you're doing is you're running fractal universes on me.
Yeah. As soon as everyone stops treating him as an entity, recognizing him as something that exists as a classical state, then he'll just disappear.
No, you know what we need to do? The answer is multiculturalism. Tolerance, okay? The only reason the troll is acting badly is because we've otherized the troll. We've otherized him. We've engaged in otherization, and the otherization has been internalized by the troll. So what we need to do is we need to say, you're no longer a troll. We're all trolls. We'll all dress up as trolls so that we make him feel anti-otherized. If we stop microaggressing, he'll stop stealing the food.
Exactly, yeah. It's really like troll-like behavior only occurs once we've already engaged in ontological violence on his being, because we have treated him, because we've recognized him as a troll and not another individual. That is what causes him to do this behavior. And as soon as we stop recognizing him as a troll, it'll just disperse. He'll become assimilated.
Also, it might be morally proper for him to take our food if his culture views that as morally good.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. See, that's the thing. We haven't really addressed stepping out of our own moral expectations within our society in this two-island village. You know?
Okay, so number one solution then, check your privilege. That's number one solution, right?
Yeah, exactly. Are all the wait? Yeah, we didn't establish that. Is our society white by any chance?
I think it's all white. I think it's a bunch of. I think it's led by feudal white males.
And they're all probably straight. It's probably it's probably a heteronormative society too. Yeah. See, we haven't checked the privilege of our society at all yet. I think that's the crutch of the issue here.
You know what would be an interesting question is if we mix into this question the following thing. That the troll does one good service. He protects the gay villagers from violence against their heteronormative neighbors.
See, I was ready to order my militants to engage in homosexual behaviors as punishment for the women for protesting. I was prepared to do that as a leader.
As a way of anti-otherizing. That's why. Yeah. You got to anti-otherize. I think that would make it a really interesting question, though. If your society that you're the head of is heteronormative to the extent that sometimes it commits violence against the gay 10% of the population who make up the west side of the Merchants District, right? There's a really like boutique-y kind of gentrifying neighborhood in the Merchants District, and is primarily populated by gay individuals, and they're subject to occasional hate crimes by some of the more homophobic members of the community. The troll has prevented several of these and has punished several of these, and he's himself gay. He's a gay troll, and he is out there as a gay troll vigilante justice person protecting the gay community in your town, which is called, rigid gender norms, rigid gender norm bill, or something. And
society, yeah.
And so then, now do you think he's justified in taking 10%, even though it causes some of the people to starve? Or do you have to deal with that other problem first?
Only if the only people who starve are straight.
He doesn't take 10% of food from gay people.
Yeah, exactly.
But
that would be discrimination.
But what if then he says, okay, well, then I'll just have the gay people carry all the food across. This will be like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer then. They used to be hated, but then they became useful, and so they're okay now.
Everyone's happy except for the troll. He's trying to commit aggression.
And then the troll feels as though his own validation was, his own good act was co-opted by the corporate overlords, and he attacks the village in righteous violence.
Who attacks the village? The
troll. Because the corporations co-opted his movement. The corporations co-opted his movement. It's not fair. That's basically
only the troll. We could probably take just the troll. We could fuck him up.
You think so?
Oh yeah. We used the women on the front lines as they were protesting.
But they won't. The troll. What if the troll recruits the women and he arms the women and they start fighting against you?
I'm confident in my bronze gods.
Okay. You're going to kill all your own women, huh?
Then we'll become, I guess, homonormative.
It'll be a sausage party. It'll be a heteronormative sausage party.
Yeah.
Well,
it would be like being in the Navy, except, on land.
I think that would make the question a little too complicated if we had the troll protecting the gay community thing. Although it would make it a lot more interesting, right? I mean,
Now we know he has values. That means he's a moral agent. Previously, we assumed he was just a creature who was imposing this tax, but now he's an agent with a capacity for moral understanding. And he is trying to act in his own, I guess, self-interest, right?
right. Hami, you got anything to add on this question? I don't know if you got a microphone or if you want to write in the chat or whatever. We're just generally, as you probably have heard, chatting about the troll question.
Chatting with the troll question, probably committing more than a few microaggressions in this one conversation. Deplorable, really.
See, I think if you add that thing about the gay community, then all it does is it says, okay, as mayor, I have to deal with that problem first, because then I have to take away the troll's justification, right? Or I have to make sure that I've got legal solutions in place that are going to address this problem, other than the troll being able to claim some legitimacy. But I also want to say, listen, community, you're buying into a bullshit understanding of the social contract by this troll. He is begging the question here by making arguments assuming the social contract is legitimate. It's not. There's no such thing. At first, I'd lecture my population about social contract theory. That's why you'll never be elected to president, Eric. Well, I think that's what America needs. It needs a bunch of lectures about their frameworks. Okay, you guys keep arguing about this point. We need to back it up, everybody. Okay, you idiots and you idiots, come over here. That's not really going to fly if you're a government official, public official. Hami, no thoughts? Apparently not. Okay, well, let's draw this episode to a close. I think this was a very interesting conversation.
It was. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. Thanks for watching Talking with Famous People.
Thanks for watching.